In last video lecture, I was talking about the hemolytic reaction, the transfusion reactions. Okay, so in this video, we'll talk about some others others hemolytic reactions. So first, let's talk about the erythroblastosis fetalis. So I think you already know that it is also known as hemolytic disease of newborn because it occurs in the fetus. Okay, and this erythroblastosis fetalis develops if the mother and the unborn baby, they have different Rh blood groups. Okay, so and what happens in the terminal stage of pregnancy, the maternal antibodies, okay, that the antibodies which develops in the mother's body cross placenta and attack the fetal erythrocytes. Basically, it first the antibodies, they cross the placenta, they attach with the attach in the cell surface of the fetal erythrocyte and then coat it, which is called sensitization. Okay, and then those coated fetal erythrocyte, they get lysed through either MAC formation, which is sometimes we also call complement fixation system, complement cascade activation, or those fetal erythrocyte get lysed by ADCC formation. Okay, so to understand the erythroblastosis fetalis, first we should understand the Rh blood group system, because this mainly occurs because of the difference in Rh blood types between the mother and the fetus. Okay, so you actually already know about the Rh antigen, but just for recap. So Rh antigen system was first identified in 1939, and the Rh antigen system is a mosaic of genetically controlled specific determinant, and this antigen is present on the surface of red blood cell of some people. Yeah, not everyone. Not every people contain the Rh antigen in the red blood cell surface, right? Otherwise, the blood group of everyone would be positive. No, there are some negative person, right? Like for example, O positive, O negative. So the negative blood group people, they don't have the Rh antigen. Okay, so and because of the Rh factor, two different type of two different type of hemolytic disease can occur. One is erythroblastosis fetalis and another is autoimmune hemolytic anemia. So what is erythroblastosis fetalis? You already know. So then what is autoimmune hemolytic anemia? Okay, in this case, in case of autoimmune hemolytic anemia, individual who are Rh positive produces antibodies against their own Rh antigen. Okay, so which means against his or her own red cells, leading to autoimmune disease. Okay, suppose a Rh positive person, he has the Rh antigen, but they don't have the Rh antibody. But if somehow they develop the Rh antibody, then that Rh antibody which attacked their own Rh positive blood cells. Okay, and if it occurs, then the hemolysis will occur, which is called autoimmune hemolytic anemia. Okay, so now let's talk about the mechanism of first of erythroblastosis fetalis. Okay, so it occurs when the Rh blood group is different between the mother and the fetus. So what happens? So during the first pregnancy. Okay, so this slide shows the step by step events that happens in case of erythroblastosis fetalis. The next slide, it depicts the same thing which is described here. Okay, here in text, here in figure. So what happens? So I will explain the figure. Okay, so what happens in case of how the erythroblastosis fetalis develops? So during the first pregnancy, the fetus is Rh positive and the mother is Rh negative. So during first pregnancy, some antigen, the Rh antigen, which cross the placenta and enter into the mother's body. So what will happen? The mothers will develop antibody against the Rh antigen. Okay, and during the delivery, what will happen? I mean, during the delivery, the some more fetus Rh positive antigen or cell will enter into the mother's body, which will actually boost up the antibody production in the mother's body. Okay, so now you can ask me one thing. So, sir, what happens? I mean, during the pregnancy period, I mean, the mother is producing some antibody against the Rh. Then why not those antibody is causing problem in the fetus? I mean, why not those antibody is going back to the fetus and interacting the Rh antigens and doing lysis? Actually, the amount of antibody produced in the mother during the pregnancy is actually low. Okay, so that's why the number of this antibody is not enough uh, to make some significant hemolysis in the fetus. Okay, so the fetus during the first pregnancy, the fetus is safe, but during delivery, what happens? Some more Rh positive antigen that enters into the mother's body. So more antibody is anti-Rh antibody is produced in the mother's body, and they persist. However, so the first pregnancy is safer, but the problem is if that same mother get pregnant again with a Rh positive fetus. Okay, so what will happen in this case? The mother has already quite a number of anti-Rh antibody. Okay, and again from the fetus, some Rh positive cells will enter into the mother body. So it will actually do a further boost of anti-Rh antibody productions. Okay, and this huge number of anti-Rh antibody, they will cross the placenta and they will interact with the fetus blood cells and cause hemolysis. Okay, so basically, due to this, even the fetus can get die. Okay, the fetus can die or very severe damage can occur to the fetus. Okay, so this is actually the steps happens or you can say the mechanisms of erythroblastosis fetalis. Okay, so these things is called Rh immunization. I mean, the events that occurs during this thing is called Rh immunization. Okay, so how the how the fetal erythrocyte get distracted in the erythroblastosis fetalis, you already know that, right? I mean, actually, the destruction of blood cells, I mean, whatever the ways is, it can be blood transfusion, it can be erythroblastosis fetalis, or it can be autoimmune hemolysis. The basic is actually same. The first step is the antigen, that is the cells. The first step is the antibody. Okay, they will bind with the antigen, that is the antibody will bind with the cell which carry the antigen, and they will eventually actually aggregation will occur and they will cover or coat the antigen. Okay, so this is called sensitization, and first sensitization occurs, antibody bind with the antigen, this is called sensitization, and after sensitization the mechanisms of lysis can occur in two ways. One, either through the membrane attack complex formation or through the ADCC. Okay, so in every types of this hemolytic disease, the basic steps are same. So the difference is the first event. I mean, which antibody is sensitizing which antigen, or in other way I can say, I mean, what is the source of the antigen and what is the source of the antibody. Okay, so otherwise all the basic steps are same. Okay, so sensitization I already talked about this one, so let's skip it. So now, what are the consequences of erythroblastosis fetalis? I mean, if this occurs, what will happen? So the hemoglobin will broken down and high levels of bilirubin will accumulate. Okay, in the blood will accumulate in the blood circulation. So and this will cause hyperbilirubinemia, which is called jaundice. Okay, so the hemoglobin, they will get lysed, and then the bilirubin will be produced from this lysed hemoglobin, and they will accumulate in the blood circulatory system and in the body. Okay, and this is actually called jaundice. Jaundice means presence of high amount of bilirubin in the body. Okay, and another things will happen as the bilirubin, there will be a high amount of bilirubin. This bilirubin can get deposited in the brain. Okay, carnic terrace, the carnic terrace of the brain, and which can cause brain damage. It can be permanent. Okay, so you can understand the consequences of electroblastosis fetalis can be very severe. Right, they can permanently damage your brain. Okay, so now how we can prevent this? I mean, we understand why the RH, this erythroblastosis fetalis occurs. I already talked about this, which is also sometimes called RH immunization. So, how we can prevent this? Okay, in this slide, I'm not going to talk about the treatment. Treatment will be talked in the next slide. But this slide, how we can prevent this? Okay, so these are the way by which we can do this. First, when mother is ORH negative, when mother's blood group is O negative and the fetus is AB or AB positive. Okay, in this case, less sensitization is occurs. Okay, very the sensitization will be very few. So passive administration of anti-RH antibody to the RH negative mother with a RH positive child can prevent hemolytic disease in newborn. Okay, so how we can prevent the immunization? We need to passively, from outside, inject anti-RH antibody to the mother. Okay, so and it will prevent the hemolytic disease. How? Okay, think this way: the fetus, it is RH positive. That means it has RH antigen. So it enters the mother's body, cross the placenta, enters the mother's body. So now, if you already inject some anti-RH antibody into the mother's body, then whenever this fetal RH positive antigen will enter the mother's body, the anti-RH antibody that you have injected into the mother's body, they will bind with those incoming RH antigen and neutralize them. Okay, so by this we can prevent hemolytic disease in newborn. Okay, so this steps is done during the pregnancy, when the fetus is inside the mother's womb. Okay, so now what we need to do after the birth, or if any abortion occurs. Okay, so after birth or abortion, the RH positive fetus anti-RH should be administered immediately. Okay, in this case, when the in this kind of pregnancy, if after the birth or if any abortion occurs, immediately after the birth or immediately after the abortion, we have to inject the anti-RH antibody into the mother's body immediately. So we cannot delay this. If we delay this, basically the antibody production in the mother's body will be boosted up. Okay, so we cannot delay this. Immediately we have to inject some anti-RH antibody into the mother's body. Okay, so this was a prevention strategy for against RH immunization. So now, how we can treat the treatment of erythroblastosis fetalis or RH immunization. So the treatment strategy will be different in severe case or in less severe case. In severe case, if the sensitization already occurs, then the affected fetus treated by intrauterine transfusion of RH negative blood cells. Okay, and as the blood do not contain RH antigen, then it will not be destroyed by maternal antibody. After the treatment. Okay, this is the treatment. After sensitization already occurred. That the fetus antigen, RH antigen, has been already attacked by the mother antibody. Okay, so in that case, the fetus blood cells will get lysed. Okay, it can kill the baby. So how we can prevent this? We can transfuse RH negative blood to the fetus. okay, to the newborn baby. So if we inject RS negative blood in the newborn baby, then the baby can survive. Okay, this is in a severe case, but in less severe case, transfusion is delayed until after birth. Okay, that is exchange transfusion. It is done to remove bilirubin and prevent carnic tears. So if you look carefully, actually in both cases, the treatment is same. We have to transfuse blood into the fetus of the baby. So in case of severe case, this transfusion need to be done during the pregnancy. But if the case is less severe, we can do the transfusion after the childbirth. Okay. So that's all I mean for this video lecture. In the next lecture we'll talk about some other hemolytic reactions.